So in today's video, what I wanted to talk about is of course the release date for GTA 6. And I wanted to begin this video by saying at this particular moment in time, we've not actually had any official acknowledgement from Take-Two or Rockstar that this game is even in development, and all of the information that we've heard on this game has come from leaks and rumours and also some information from analysts who have predicted when this game will release. Of course, I've done my own video on GTA 6 and I'll leave the link to that down in the description below. I highly recommend you go and check that video out. But it seems like the information in that video surrounding the release date could actually be fairly accurate, and we're going to get into all of that information in today's video. Now, the reason for today's video is because there was an article over on Axios talking about some financial stuff that came from Take-Two that could indicate GTA 6 is slated for a fiscal year 2024 release. Now, what does that mean? It means that GTA 6 could potentially release between April 1st, 2023 and March 31st, 2024. Now, I'm going to leave the link to that article down in the description because it does talk a little bit about some financial stuff and the conclusions which a few industry analysts did come up with. But essentially, there's going to be 9 billion in net bookings predicted for fiscal year 24, which indicates that this could be a GTA 6 release. That is the conclusion that a couple of these analysts came up with. Now, after doing some research myself and speaking to my own industry analyst friends, it actually came out that this 9 billion in net bookings is actually Zynga and Take-Two Interactive combined. Now, if you're not aware, Take-Two have just acquired Zynga, so this $9 billion mark is for both of the companies, and what they are predicting for Take-Two is that they're expected to make 5.5 billion in net bookings and not the 9 billion that is just being stated as a overall number. I understand that a few different YouTubers and stuff like that have covered this number, stating that 9 billion, well, it's a massive number, it could mean GTA 6, this, that and the other, and I just wanted to make that really apparent before I get into all of the financials that Take-Two are actually anticipating 5.5 billion for Take-Two, with the other 3.5 billion coming from Zynga, which of course they have just acquired. So what does this mean for Take-Two? Well, they're expecting 5.5 billion in net bookings, which is a 2 billion increase from fiscal year 2022. So within a 2-year period, Take-Two are expecting the company to make an additional 2 billion in net bookings, which of course understandably could indicate that this could be a GTA 6 release. However, I had some initial problems with this analysis, the main one being, well, GTA 5, for example, that's generated $1 billion in its first 3 days and generated $2 billion in its first 6 months, which would indicate that if GTA 6 does release in, let's say, October of 2023, what Take-Two are essentially saying is that they're expecting GTA 6 to do similar numbers to GTA 5 within that first 6-month period. And I think that is either incredibly conservative of Take-Two to make this assumption, or it just isn't GTA 6. I can't see the scenario in which Take-Two have looked at all of the financials and suggested that GTA 6, which I think we can all agree is going to be the biggest game to ever release and generates probably billions of dollars in its first year, especially with the integration of GTA Online. I can't imagine that Take-Two have looked at all of these numbers and assumed that GTA 6 is going to do similar numbers to GTA 5. Of course, the console markets are going to have a lot to do with Take-Two's predictions. When GTA 5 did release, there was 80 million PS3 sold and 80 million Xbox 360 sold, giving a combined market of 160 million units sold. Of course, not all of those units were active because at that point they had been released for, 7 to 8 years, so I would imagine there was a pretty big drop off with actually how many of those units were active at the time of GTA 5's release. But when we look towards the end of 2023, at this moment in time, 13.4 million units for the PS5 have been sold and 12 million units for the Series X. Now, we know that Sony are making around 11 to 50 million units of the PS5 per year, which could indicate that, well, by the time 2023 comes around, especially towards the holiday season, we could expect another 20 to 25 million PS5 to be sold, and the same could be said for the Series X and Series S as well. So just taking the lower numbers of that is an extra 40 million units into the gaming industry, taking the total sales for current generation consoles somewhere in the region of 65 million units. Of course, chip shortages and COVID could play a role in that number, but even if we say 50 million units sold by the time holiday 2023 does come around, that is a huge market in which GTA 6 could release in, and when you're combining that with the likes of GTA Online, which I would imagine they're going to be very strong on at the release of GTA 6, in addition to the fact that, well, consumers are more likely to spend money compared to 10 years ago when GTA 5 released, well, I think that the 2 billion in net bookings, the increase of 2 billion in net bookings over the course of the next 2 years is incredibly conservative from Take-Two, and in my opinion, I think there's another reason why that $2 billion increase in net bookings was predicted, and to be honest, I do not think it is GTA 6. In addition to all of the information with the markets and stuff like that I've just talked about, we've also got to take a look at GTA 5 Enhanced and Expanded, because, well, it would seem that this is going to be a pretty significant update, which is going to contribute to that 2 billion in net bookings. Of course, GTA 5 Enhanced and Expanded will be releasing on current generation consoles. As I've just mentioned, that is another market of 25 million consoles, and I think they're going to do really well on selling GTA 5 E&E. And the reason for that is because I think it's going to be a pretty substantial update. It's not going to be the standard releases of DLC that we've seen previously with GTA 5, and instead it's going to be a pretty significant update, and I think that is going to contribute towards that $2 billion number. And of course, why would they release GTA 5 E&D and then just 18 months later release GTA 6 on that console platform as well? Of course, it could be to ease people into the GTA Online universe, which could be a strong argument, but to myself and a few analysts that I've spoken to, it just doesn't seem to add up with the numbers that they forecasted. Now, moving on to another quick point, because I think that a lot of people have been picking up on this and still clinging onto it because, well, it's an increase in marketing spend, and that is the fact that GamesBeat reported, I think it was last year, that there was $85 million in marketing spend intended for the fiscal year 2024. Now, I have spoken to someone about this, and although that Take-Two did clarify to GamesBeat, you can see it in the original article, that this number is specifically for its contracts with third parties, I also got information that it's actually within their 10K annual report that these are commitments related to sports leagues and player associations, so it's nothing to do with GTA 6. And in addition to this, Take-Two did report $445 million in sales and marketing expenses for its fiscal year 2021. So a mere $85 million doesn't really indicate that a GTA 6 release is on the horizon. Now, moving on to some more financial stuff and some more stuff that could indicate that, well, GTA 6 isn't really as close as it's being made out to be, and that is the fact that Take-Two have already reported themselves to investors that there is 62 games planned to release by the time the fiscal year 2024 does end. Now, with these 62 games, 4 of them will be mid-core games like WWE Battlegrounds, 20 of them will be mobile releases, which I'm assuming is where Zynga will come in, 9 of these will be ports or remasters, 6 of them will be from Take-Two's independent label Private Division, and 23 of of these titles will be immersive titles, and to me this does indicate that, well, although it does seem possible that GTA 6 could release within this time frame, releasing it alongside another 60 plus games from the same publisher does seem a little far-fetched to me, and that isn't because, well, it isn't impossible or anything like that, but from a financial standpoint, if you're saying that GTA 6 is going to do similar net bookings than GTA 5, but then on top of that you have an additional 60 plus games, one of which is going to be GTA 5 enhanced and expanded, then, well, what does that say about GTA 6? It either means that, one, it just isn't going to release within this time frame, or two, Take-Two have very little faith in how GTA 6 is going to perform when it releases. And of course, I'm thinking of the first one here, is that, well, they have these 60 plus games planned, one of which is going to be GTA 5 A&E, and GTA 6 is going to release much longer down the road. And what you've got to remember here is that Take-Two have announced that these 60 plus games are going to release by the end of fiscal year 24, and, well, when it comes to GTA 6, they simply haven't announced anything on it. Of course, we could still get an announcement trailer for GTA 6 this year, with it stating that it is going to release in 2023, but just judging by Rockstar's past release dates, that being GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2, we know with those announcements that we got the release date of those respective games 2 years after the announcements did happen. So it is very unlikely that they're going to come out this year, say that GTA 6 is in development and announce a little trailer or something like that, and then release it the holidays of next year, especially when you're considering the fact that Rockstar have done a hell of a lot for its studios following the release of Red Dead Redemption 2, and I won't get into too much detail on that in today's video, but essentially the developer has made big changes since the release of Red Dead Redemption 2, with limitations on crunch time, ensuring that there's the correct management and leadership training, and also the ability for its employees to voice their opinions, and of course many more things to ensure well-being at the studio. So yes, I just don't think that a GTA 6 title is going to release in 2023. Just looking at all of the evidence on the financial side, hearing all of the rumours on this game and stuff like that, it just doesn't seem like it's going to be the case, and I'm going to refer back to my original video on GTA 6 and state that I think that this game is going to release between 2024 and 2025. Of course, the game is going to be in big trouble for that 2025 release if we don't see an announcement of the game being in development this year, because then, well, that does indicate, if they follow the traditional 2-year difference between reveal and release, that we could be seeing this game release in 2025. But anyway, guys, I'm going to leave the video as that. Let me know down in the comment section below when you think GTA 6 is going to release. Don't forget to like the video, follow me over on Twitter, the link is down in the description below. And of course, please do subscribe to the channel. It's greatly appreciated and helps a lot. But anyway, guys, I've been Tom, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.